My name is Marcus. I am 24 years old, and the reason I am telling you this story is because of a single photo my girlfriend sent me on a Tuesday afternoon. She was driving to my house. She looked happy, and in the background, without either of us knowing, it was the man who was about to take her. Snap Maps saved her life. I am not exaggerating that. If you watch True Scary Stories, subscribe before we go further, and drop a comment telling me where you are right now, because I have 3 stories tonight about what Snapchat showed people that they were not supposed to see, and all 3 of them are real. Let me start with mine. It was the fall of 2017. I was a junior in college in Carrollton, Georgia, small town, the kind of place where everyone knows the general outline of everyone else's life. I was home working on a kinesiology case study when my girlfriend sent me a snap. Her name is Danielle. We had been together for almost 2 years. We both had demanding schedules and we snapped each other constantly throughout the day. Not always with a point to it, just pictures so we could see each other's faces. It sounds dumb, but when you are both busy, it becomes its own kind of closeness. The snap she sent was a car selfie, her in the driver's seat smiling, no caption. I sent one back, standard. 30 seconds later, she sent another one. This one was taken over her shoulder while she was in line at a grocery store. No caption, just a photo of the people in line behind her. Random strangers. Nothing particular about them, except one detail I almost missed. There was a man in the background looking at her. Not glancing, looking. The kind of sustained attention that is different from ordinary distraction. His head was angled toward her in a way that was deliberate. I could not see his full face, but I could see his posture and the direction of his attention. I sent back a confused selfie asking what she was trying to show me. The next snap was of the parking lot. She was walking to her car. Caption said she was on her way to my place. I smiled looking at it. Then at the last second before it expired, I looked at the background. The same man was in the parking lot behind her. Same body, same posture, walking in the same direction. Not coincidentally behind her in a shared line anymore. Behind her in an outdoor parking lot. I snapped her immediately, told her to call me right now, sent the message and waited. No response. I called her. It rang through to voicemail. I sent another snap. No notification that it had been opened. I tried texting. The message sat on delivered. I told myself she was probably just driving. She always put her phone down when she drove. She was probably already on the highway, phone in her bag, music on, not thinking about any of this. I went back to my case study and tried to focus. 20 minutes passed, then 30. Then I realized it had been over 45 minutes since her last message, and she lived about 15 minutes away from me. Then my phone lit up. A Snap Maps notification. Danielle had shared her location with me. I opened it. Her dot was not on the route between her house and mine. Her dot was northeast of Carrollton by a significant distance, moving in a direction that made no sense for where she was supposed to be going. Moving toward Atlanta, almost 45 miles away from where I was sitting. I stared at the map for a moment, trying to make it make sense. Maybe she had made a stop. Maybe she had turned around for a reason. Maybe her phone had a GPS glitch. I snapped her asking why she was near Atlanta. 1 minute passed. The longest minute I have ever sat through. She opened it. She sent back a photo. I need to try to describe what it was like to open that snap. You tap once and the image is just there. No loading, no buildup, just immediate. Full screen. It was her face. She was in the passenger seat of her own car. She was crying, hard enough that her eyes were almost closed. The caption was one word, kidnapped. I stood up from my desk without deciding to stand up. My chair rolled back and hit the wall behind me. I was on my feet in the middle of my room, staring at my phone, trying to process what I was looking at. I snapped back immediately, asking her if this was a joke. Begging her to tell me it was a joke. She sent another photo. Her phone was angled to show the interior of the car. Her in the passenger seat, and in the driver's seat, hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, was the man from the grocery store. The caption said, "Don't let me die. I am not going to tell you that I handled the next 60 seconds well. I did not." I paced my room for a moment, doing nothing useful. Then my brain finally produced the right instruction and I called the police. I told the dispatcher exactly what was happening. I told them my girlfriend had been taken. I told them she was currently in her own car somewhere northeast of Carrollton near Atlanta. I told them I had her Snap Maps location updating in real time on my phone. The dispatcher stayed on with me. Within minutes, there were officers at my door to coordinate the location data. They were in contact with Atlanta area police simultaneously. Every time Danielle managed to open Snapchat, the dot updated. She was doing it intentionally. She understood that as long as she could open the app, we could see exactly where she was. She opened it 3 more times during the 40-minute pursuit. The police tracked them to a parking lot behind an abandoned church in a suburb northeast of Atlanta. Multiple units converged on the location simultaneously. Danielle told me later that the moment the police cars appeared, she did not feel relief first. She felt terror, the sudden, overwhelming presence of lights and vehicles and men moving fast in every direction. It took several seconds for her to understand that the chaos was there to help her. The man was taken into custody at the scene. He was denied bail. He was eventually convicted and sentenced to multiple decades in prison. Danielle is okay. She is not fully okay in the way that she was before. There are things she does now that she did not do before. She locks her car door the moment she gets in before she does anything else. She always checks the back seat. She does not park in isolated areas of parking lots regardless of how convenient they are. These are not choices she makes consciously anymore. They are reflexes that formed in the 40-something minutes she spent in that car with that man and have never left. I still think about the snap I almost did not look at carefully. The grocery store photo with no caption. She sent it because something felt wrong. She did not have time to write anything. She just pointed the camera behind her and sent it and hoped I would understand. I almost missed it. I almost wrote it off as a random snap with no meaning and moved on. One more glance before it expired. That is all the difference there was. The second story. My name is Kayla. I was 18 years old and a freshman in college when this happened. And I want to start by being honest about how it began, because the honest version is what makes it a real warning. I gave someone my Snapchat when I did not want to, and then I never found the nerve to take it back. And by the time I understood what that decision had cost me, he was already inside my house. His name was Justin. He was a student at the same university. I ran into him at the campus gym multiple times a week because he seemed to spend most of his time there not working out. He would get on a treadmill for a few minutes and then wander around making conversation with women who were in the middle of their workouts. He approached me the second time I saw him. I was mid-set. I gave him a nod so he would leave. He took it as an invitation to stay. I finished my workout while he stood nearby making conversation that I responded to with one-word answers, and eventually he asked for my Snapchat. I said no the first time, and the second time. Then over a period of a few weeks, he asked enough times that I gave it to him, because saying no repeatedly to the same person in the same place felt more exhausting than just ending the conversation. I want to be clear about something. That was not my fault. I said no, multiple times. He persisted until I gave in. That is not a green light. That is pressure achieving a result it was never entitled to. I added him back. We snapped occasionally. He was always more active in the conversation than I was. I hoped if I kept my responses minimal, he would lose interest. He did not lose interest. He started showing up in places. The library, the coffee shop near my dorm, the path between the gym and the residential buildings. He was not always alone when it happened, but he was always nearby. I would look up and he would be there, and he would walk over and trap me in a conversation until I found a reason to leave. He asked to walk me home regularly. I declined every time. I made sure he never saw which direction I went when I left campus. I did not know that Snap Maps had been quietly showing him exactly where I lived for weeks. The feature was relatively new. I had set it up when I first got to school because it seemed like a useful way to stay connected with friends. I had not thought about it since. The idea that someone I had not chosen to be close to was using it to watch my location did not occur to me because I had not thought carefully enough about who was on my friends list. On a Tuesday night about 2 months into the semester, I woke up at 2 in the morning to a stack of Snapchat notifications. I was already sleeping badly because the pattern of running into Justin had started to register in me as something wrong, even if I had not fully named it yet. Some low-level alert had been running in the background of my days and it was affecting my sleep. I looked at my phone. All the notifications were from Justin. I opened the first snap. It was him in a bathroom mirror. He was not dressed. The caption asked me to send him a photo in return. I did not reply. I put the phone face down and tried to go back to sleep. He sent another snap. I opened it out of some mix of anger and disbelief. He was crying in a selfie, not slightly, visibly and seriously crying. The caption asked why I was leaving him on red. I texted him to please leave me alone. 1 sentence, clear. Then I put the phone down. More snaps came in over the next hour. I heard the notifications, but I did not open them. I lay in the dark and tried to sleep and could not. Around 3:30, I gave up and looked at my phone. There were 6 snaps from Justin stacked in sequence. The first one was of his feet on a public city bus. Caption said he was on his way. The second one was a photo of the outside of my house, the front of the building, our door clearly visible. Caption said he was here. The third snap was the one that made me stop breathing. It was taken from outside. Through the gap between the front door and the frame, through the narrow strip of darkness between the door and the lock. Looking through it into the interior of the house, down the short hallway to where my bedroom door was partially open. And through that door, you could see me, in bed, asleep in the photo that had been taken maybe an hour earlier when I had still been sleeping. The caption said, "You look so beautiful when you sleep." I threw the covers back and my feet hit the floor before I finished reading it. I ran for the door. He was already inside. He came out of the front room as I hit the hallway, and he was between me and the front door. And I turned and ran the other direction toward the bathroom at the end of the hall. I got inside and got the lock turned and put my back against the door. He started knocking, not violently, a steady, patient knock. He called my name. He asked me to come out. He said we needed to talk. My phone was on my bed. I had left it in the room when I ran. I sat on the bathroom floor with my back against the door, and I could hear him on the other side of it, and I could not call anyone. My roommate's name was Priya. Her bedroom door was at the other end of the hall. I could hear him still talking to the bathroom door, which meant he was not at her door. I yelled her name through the wall. I heard her door lock from the inside. Then after a few seconds, I heard her voice on a phone. The police arrived about 10 minutes after she called them. Justin did not run. He was standing in the hallway when they came in, and he went with them without resistance. He was crying again. When everything was over and Priya and I were sitting in the kitchen at 4 in the morning, waiting for our hearts to slow down, she asked me one question before anything else. She said, "Was your Snap Maps on?" I pulled out my phone and looked at the settings. It was set to all friends. It had been set to all friends since the first week of school. It had been showing my location to everyone on my list every single time I opened the app for months, including Justin, including every night I came home from class, every morning, I left for the gym every evening, I stayed late in the library. He had watched my location for weeks. He had learned my routine. He had walked to my house and gotten through a front door that had not been properly secured and stood in my hallway in the dark and photographed me sleeping. When the police ran his background, they found prior reports involving similar behavior with other women. He had been allowed to attend the university without restriction. I transferred the following semester. Snap Maps is still a feature on the app. It is still set to all friends by default when you first sign up, and there are millions of people using it right now who have never once looked at who is watching their dot. Go check. Right now. The third story. This one involves someone much younger, and I want to be careful about how I tell it. Not to protect anyone who does not deserve protection, but because what happened is the kind of thing that is easy to dismiss as something that would not happen to someone you know. It happened to someone's daughter. It almost happened to her at 3 in the morning, and it came within a few inches of being something nobody recovered from. My name is Sarah. I was 11 years old when this happened, and I want to talk about a Snapchat friend named Ryan who was not who he said he was. Everyone at my school was on Snapchat that year. It was relatively new and it felt exciting the way new technology feels exciting when you are a kid and you have not yet learned to be careful with it. The whole point seemed to be collecting streaks and snapping people back and forth. The more friends you had, the better. Ryan added me one day out of nowhere. We had no mutual connections. He said he had found my account through someone else's friend list. That was something people did back then. It was considered normal. I added him back. He was 12 years old, he said. He went to a school in a nearby town. He had a streak of selfies that I asked him to customize in specific ways to confirm he was real. I asked him to hold up a peace sign in his next photo. He did it. I asked him to make a specific face. He did that too. His photos always match what I asked for, which is how you confirmed in those days that someone was not using a fake account. Over a few weeks, we built up the kind of easy online friendship that happens when two kids have the same sense of humor and message each other every day. He felt real. He acted like a kid. He talked about school and video games and things that did not feel designed or practiced. Eventually, he brought up the idea of meeting in person. I said I was not comfortable going to a stranger's house. He said that was fine and asked if he could come to mine instead. I gave him my address. We never made firm plans. The conversation moved on and I mostly forgot about it. Kids make loose plans like that all the time, and they mostly do not come to anything. 3 weeks later, I woke up at 3 in the morning to a stack of Snapchat notifications, all from Ryan. I sat up and looked at them. The first few were photos of the outside of my house, front yard taken from the street. Caption said, "Hey, are you up? Then I am here. Then come outside." My bedroom was on the second floor facing the street. I got up and moved to the window carefully and looked down. There was a man standing in front of my house. Not a boy, a man, full adult height. Standing next to a white pickup truck parked in my driveway, looking up at the second floor windows. He had his phone in his hand. He was looking at the phone and then looking up at the windows and then back at the phone. I stepped back so he could not see me, and I sent him a snap telling him to leave. I want to be honest that part of my hesitation in waking my parents was fear of being in trouble for giving my address to someone online. I was 11 and I was scared of both things at once. I kept trying to resolve it myself because I thought if I got him to leave, I could avoid my parents finding out. He did not leave. He sent back a snap saying he was not going anywhere until I came outside. A few more minutes passed, then it went quiet. No new notifications. I went back to the window hoping he was gone. He was not at the street level anymore. He was at my window. His face was right there on the other side of the glass. And before I could move, he hit the window hard with his open hand. The glass cracked. He reached through the broken section, reaching for me, and I threw myself backward and landed on the floor and screamed until my parents came running. By the time my parents got to my room and we got back to the window, there was no one on the ladder that was still leaning against the side of the house. The truck was gone, just the ladder and broken glass on my floor. He had carried a ladder to my house at 3 in the morning. He had set it up against the side of the building. He had climbed to the second floor. He knew which window was mine because he had been watching my location on Snap Maps and had seen my dot sitting stationary on the second floor every night. My parents called the police. The investigation took time. When they eventually identified and arrested the man, I found out what I had not known for the weeks we were messaging. Ryan was not real. The boy in all those selfies was not the person I was talking to. The photos were of a real child, but the person choosing those photos, writing those messages, asking those questions, making those plans, was the man who showed up with a ladder. He had been doing this to multiple kids across multiple platforms. Every custom photo I asked for, every specific gesture he complied with, he had been extracting those from a child he had access to, using them as props to seem real to his targets. He was arrested and charged. The investigation connected him to a significant number of other victims. I did not go back on Snapchat for almost 2 years after that. 3 stories, 3 different versions of the same danger. Danielle was in a public parking lot in the middle of the day. Marcus was sitting at his desk at home, and she was still taken. Kayla gave a firm no multiple times, and it was still not enough. She still ended up sitting on a bathroom floor in the dark, while someone who would not accept her answer stood on the other side of the door. And I was 11 years old, having a normal kid conversation with someone I thought was another kid. He was patient. He was consistent. He acted exactly like what he wanted me to believe he was for weeks until I trusted him enough to give him the one thing he needed: my address. 3 different situations, 3 different people, the same feature on the same app showing someone exactly where to go. Snap Maps is still active. It is still on your phone if you use Snapchat. It is still tracking your location every time you open the app and showing it to every person on your friends list. Go open your settings right now and check what it is set to. Look at who is on your friends list. Think about whether every person on that list should be able to open a map and see in real time where you are sleeping tonight. Because right now, somewhere, there is a dot on a map that belongs to someone who has no idea they're being watched. Do not let that dot be yours. And if you have kids who use Snapchat, check their settings tonight, not tomorrow. Tonight.